what's up, Nerf Nation? This is Normatico here, and we are going back to 2022, back to when arguably everyone says Nerf started to turn the page, so to speak, with Elite 2.0, though it turned the page for one good chapter and then suddenly kind of went to crap again. But anyways, we are talking about the Nerf Motoblitz CS10. Of course, that stands for Click System 10. It comes with a 10-round magazine and a bunch of the Elite 2.0 darts. I'll be honest with you, we can call it what it is. This is a Nerf Raven with a shotgun style attachment to it, the quote-unquote blitz fire attachment. The way this blaster works, of course, it is a battery operated blaster, operates on 4 AA batteries. I actually have some 3.7s loaded into this one, 2 of those and then 2 of the standard batteries, so we're running right around 9 volts with this thing. You know, you can hear that the motors actually sound a little bit louder than stock motors do, but that's just to get it actually to what I would consider a little bit above Elite 2.0 performance. Stock motors with the regular 4 batteries, you're looking at getting anywhere between 50 to 70 feet per second with this blaster. I will say that's not necessarily an Elite 2.0 thing, it's just the way the blaster is designed. Let me explain. The way that this blaster works is actually the flywheel is right back here. So what that means is that you have at least 12, maybe 14 inches worth of a barrel that the dart actually has to go out of before you can actually get a measurement as to how fast the dart is traveling. And there is a lot of velocity that can be lost between here and here on your chronograph. So that being said, I like to test it out with the actual 3.7s because, well, it comes out a little bit spicier. And I'll be honest with you, by the time it gets out of here, you're not hitting above 100 feet per second. So it is safe for the little ones. It does have the jam door back here, of course. You can see inside of there where in case any dart gets jammed, you can actually tell where it's at. And one cool thing about this blaster is that the motor itself, the cage that they decided to use stock with this thing, it is not an enclosed cage like almost every other flywheel blaster that Hasbro makes. No, this one is very much like some of the 3D printed cages you can actually get aftermarket, where it is almost like a half cage. It is open on one end, you can see the actual flywheels on one side, and then on the back, that's where you actually have the motors where the wiring is at. So it's kind of a unique cage system for Hasbro. Even the original Raven did not have a cage like that, so it's kind of neat. Now, we are going to be comparing this blaster with one that I actually have that has been modified to what we can call super stock performance. It actually has some Krakens in there, and I will show you what I mean by the half cage system because we're going to pop open the hood and see just what is inside my modified blaster. But back to the stock blaster. Of course, you do have the blitz fire system here, which you have to pump this about 12 times to get full air pressure. I will tell you that it has a smart AR system here, so obviously the more of these darts that you get loaded in here, the less distance that they're going to travel. Of course, that being said, this is more of a last-ditch effort. Oh my gosh, I am out of my primary. I need to shoot somebody at close range or shoot multiple people at close range, and you just do the blitz fire, and it just does like a shotgun spread. Of course, you pump out those times, and then you just press this button right here. Of course, there is a matching button on the other side, so it is an ambidextrous firing button. You do have 1, 2, 3 tactical rails, 1 on top, 2, 1 on each side, and of course, you have a mounted scope, which this sight, I'll be honest with you, unless you're bringing it up all the way like this, it is difficult to use. However, it is pretty accurate, and you will see that when I do an accuracy test later on. So it does have 2 sling point attachments, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom down here. And technically here with the stock, you could probably attach something there. And then, well, I just noticed now that I was looking at it, technically that's a sling point attachment as well. I don't know if you would use that one back here, to be honest with you. But it's there, so yeah. Now, I will tell you that modifying this thing, it is very, very simple, so to speak, because there are no clips to speak of. You actually just unscrew the screws, and this shell just wants to open up. I will tell you, though, that if you actually want to modify this and install aftermarket motors, let's say if you want to put some Krakens or if you want to put some Fangs, which is what I'm running on my other blaster, you are going to actually have to do some shell cutting. Do yourself the favor. I'm not going to try to steal anyone's thunder here by posting a mod guide when a good one already exists. Go ahead and actually look at Luke over at Out of Darts. He did a mod video on how to do this because of the shell cutting required. He actually has basically a written version of that mod guide, which is really nice also for those of you who like to actually read something as opposed to watching a video. Go ahead and take advantage of that. Do yourself that favor because I didn't discover that mod guide until halfway done. And there was some shell cutting that I had to do, which I didn't realize. Oh, wow, I wish I would have watched this video or read this guide because it would have told me what I had to cut. It would have saved me about an hour worth of work. But other than that, it's a pretty simple, straightforward setup. You have your cage right here on one side and your rev trigger. And there's enough space there to run wiring, so it's not too much of a problem. And, of course, you have your battery tray here. I will tell you, stick with a 2S LiPo upgrade as opposed to a 3S, only because of the fact that you can put a small 3S battery in here, but it requires more cutting of the battery tray. I will show you what I did when I open up mine here later on in this video. But let's go and actually get to the good part. Let's run through the Cograph and let's see how far this blaster can go, and then, well, we'll see about an accuracy test. So we're going to do the indoor accuracy test, and it is much warmer indoors than it is outside right now here in Central Ohio. We are actually going to be taking 10 of the Dart Zone Max Ruby darts, standard lengths, down the hall. We are actually aiming for the target basket that is back there. I am using a Worker 22 round magazine. Again, I'm only launching 10 down the hallway, and then I'm going to switch to the Mod-oblitz and see how the accuracy is on that one. So here we go. So that was kind of disappointing. I definitely saw some veerage to the left, and, well, it just wasn't that good. And these are with Ruby darts that are usually higher position than Elite darts. I'm going to do a quick dart recovery, and then we're going to pick up with the Motoblitz. Okay, so I'm back with the modded Motoblitz. You can tell by the paint job. And we're going to shoot 10 down there, and let's see how it does. Much better. It is a cold winter afternoon, and we are actually out to test the distance on the Motoblitz. First, I'm going to use the standard Motoblitz. This is all stock. We actually have some Elite darts here. I'm going to test the distance out with these. We're just going to do the motorized part. I'm not doing the Blitz, unfortunately, because of the fact that it is very cold out here and I can't even feel my face anymore. So we're going to do the standard Motoblitz, and then up next we're going to do the modified one, and then we'll be back to actually show you the internals of the modified Motoblitz. Angled shot. Let's try that again. Straight shot. All right, well, that was not impressive at all. Let's go and do a quick dart recovery, and we'll be back. So with original elite darts, we got a total of 50 feet for a straight shot and 65 feet with an angled shot. Not impressive. Now we're going to test out to see what the modified one does. All right, we're back with the modified Motoblitz. Let's see how this one does. So we noticed that the first shot there, that shot actually helicoptered for some reason. Don't know what happened with that dart. So I did one more for the angled shot, and it went a decent distance. I can tell you right now that the first angled shot I did, the dart was so damaged that it only went about 30 feet. So we're gonna do a quick dart recovery and we'll see just how far these darts went. All right, so with our straight shot, we got 130 feet, and with our angled shot, we got 163 feet. So pretty decent upgrade. Up next, you're going to see the internals of these blasters, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts regarding the Motoblitz. All right, so looking underneath the hood of this thing, this is my modified Motoblitz. Here we have the 3D printed cage that I purchased from Out of Darts. I think this was around $12. And of course, the two Kraken motors, which were around $8 each. I went ahead and actually used 18G wiring here, 18 gauge wiring. Now the flywheels themselves, they are Daybreak. As you can't really see it from here, but it is just a half cage itself. I actually had to shell cut well underneath here, just so that way it would fit between the two Daybreak motors. The Daybreak wheels, and that's pretty much it. Now, one of the things I will tell you that I made the mistake that when I mounted the motors themselves, I put positive and positive following the guide here, when in reality I would have wanted to do positive here and positive over on this side. So basically, where red is marked on the motors, you put them on the positive side. Down here, I would have wanted to put the red on the other side. That would have prevented me from having to do the crisscross here, which, you know, whatever. You can do that if you want to. I'm positive enough with my soldering skills, even though these look like I kind of butchered it a little bit, that I was able to correct it real easily. But these are secure. Now, of course, these wires are connected down to the switch, which is right down here. The switch itself, I used some putty and some hot glue to keep it in place. And then when you actually close the shell itself, you actually have to shave off some things here. I'm going to bring the other side down here so you can see. You're actually going to want to trim off right here, which is a little clip that holds this piece in, and down here as well. You want to shave that down completely. That way your switch will not come into the plate, will not run into the situation where it won't close because of the switch just being so big. But other than that, you know, that's pretty much all the shell cutting that you had to do. Of course, you do have the battery tray, which if you wanted to fit a small 3S LiPo, you're going to want to trim here and go from there. One other thing, I did have to trim the battery tray here as well because that is where my XT30 switch goes in there. Speaking of which, there is a train of thought that you always use XT60s. I'll be honest with you, I find no problem with using XT30. It's one of those things that it's less cutting that you have to do. And yeah, especially if you're doing 2S LiPos, it's easier to find them in XT30 than XT60. And if you can't, you can always get an XT30 to XT60 converter. Of course, that is what we do. So real simple, you know, I just did the wiring where I put positive all the way down here to the switch, and then I put a small length, you know, right here to where you can see the green. That is when I connected it to my actual XT30 connector that was already pre-wired. and I just took the negative wire, which of course I used white for here, and connected it to the XT30 right down here. And then I did some glue so it would actually just not be flopping around all over the place and get in the way of the actual trigger switch. So there's that basically. This is what I'm running inside of this blaster. If you are interested in learning more about this blaster, go ahead and feel free to comment. And you can actually reach out to me anytime. I'll be more than happy to walk you through this because it is pretty simple. It's one of those things you can feel free to message me via Facebook on the Secondhand Blasters page, and I will be more than happy to schedule a time where I can actually walk you through these rewiring things, because if you don't know what you're doing, it can be very intimidating. And I'll be honest with you, some of the mod guys that you see out there, they don't really show the basic stuff here. And this eventually is a skill set that you actually have to teach yourself. But that being said, I am all about sharing the knowledge and expanding the hobby. So that's pretty much it. Up next are my final thoughts regarding this blaster. Alright, so I'm back with my final thoughts regarding the Motoblitz. I'll be honest with you, out of the entire Elite 2.0 line, this blaster, it is my favorite one that Hasbro made for this line. Of course, I'm kind of biased because, as you can see back there, I'm really loving the Raven. I actually have two of them. There is the original Raven. There is the Raven Strike, which is actually part of the End Strike line. And there's actually more Ravens that I have. I have it in the Elite Blue and, of course, the Elite Battle Camo that I will be modifying those later on. I actually have that original Raven, which is modified with Krakens in it, running on a 3S LiPo. The Raven Strike is actually running on Krakens as well, but it's a different cage. One is super stock, one is for HVZ. And yeah, I do have one that is running on IMRs only, which is just a stock cage with the higher powered batteries. And I'm actually going to be doing different builds with this. One of them, I honestly going to think about getting a band blaster cage and seeing just how far I can shoot with that one. They're fun. They're fun blasters. You can actually dual wield them because they're small enough that you can hold them in each hand. I mean, even this one technically, you can dual wield if you wanted to, if you have long enough arms. But with this pump part, you actually probably shouldn't want to do that. Now, that said, it is no longer on store shelves. That is the sad part about this blaster. I know that it retailed originally right around the $45 range. When I actually got a hold of mine, it was down to $22. And then when it was clearance, I saw them go down as low as $15 over at Walmart. Sadly, like I said, they are no longer on the shelves. It's a shame because it had a short shelf life, apparently. 2022 till mid-2023, we still have blasters out there that are older than this that are still on store shelves. I'm looking at you, Commander. Anyways, so it's a shame. You can find them aftermarket. You can find them on eBay. People are selling these for as low as $30 and as high as $45. I think I saw one obnoxious poster trying to sell one for $157, to which I have to say, unless it's modified, lay off the crack pipe. But anyways, I digress. If you actually have this blaster and you are interested in modifying it, I do highly recommend this because this is it's a fun blaster. You have a great primary here, and this paired with a solid secondary, you're good to go. One of those things that if you are going to actually take this into a Nerf war, I highly recommend picking up one of the drum magazines. If you can, if you actually have access to one of them, I would probably swap out with a Raider magazine, one of the 35-round drum magazines. Of course, if you are one of those who is blessed enough to have the Titan magazine, you could probably fit it in here as well and get 50 rounds out of it. It's all right. Other than that, I will tell you that you saw that I'm running the 22-round magazine, the Worker magazine, on my modified blaster. It's a pretty decent amount, I guess. If you need more than that, that's when you want to go to the 30 drum magazines or the 35s. So there you go. Of course, if you have the 22-round magazines from Worker, you can probably buy multiple of those and put it in your gear out. That way you actually have multiple 22-round magazines and you're good. I haven't quite figured out anyone who can actually run with multiple drum magazines yet. Though if anyone actually does have a kit that actually allows you to attach drum magazines to it, please let me know because I want to get one of those. I have way too many drum magazines to just have them sitting around. Until next time, I want to thank you all for watching. This has been Normatico with Second Blasters. Keep on blasting.